I think that I'm not the only presenter who will talk about it. The next few will have the same message to you. What the farmer, maybe 50 years ago, was used to have a very close relationship with his cows, maybe 10 cows. He knew every day how much milk they gave, and they could remember it from day to day because only a limited number of cows. If his cows had diarrhea, it's very hard to miss when you milk it this way, yes. Somehow the anus is always above the udder, so you know it. And if she behaved differently, he could also know it. So signs of heat and things like this, he could relate to the individual behavior of cows because cows are individuals. What to do now? The farmer has absolutely no idea how much a cow is eating every day. If he doesn't have a system that is computerized, he doesn't know if the cow gives milk today different than yesterday. So he's losing actually information about the cows, and the profitability of such a herd that you lose control of the individual cow is decreasing. So the first message is if you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it. Yes. So if you don't know, you cannot do anything about it. So we need somehow objective measurement of specific indicator that help us understand what is going with my cows today. Traditionally, and I think also other speakers after me will talk more about sensors that are inside the parlor. So in the milking point, you gather the information, yes, and then by analyzing the data, you can have exception lists, things like this. I want more to talk about the sensor on the cow, yes, and our tag that is now sold in very large quantities is the combined activity and rumination measurement tag, which is actually a computer that runs with one small battery for about 8 years, analyzing many times per second the movement of the cow in the 3 dimension, and not only counting movements, measuring movements, and taking specific movements that are more related to the alertness and of the cow than to her normal daily schedule. And we added to this a microphone, and by listening to the sounds of chewing and analyzing these sounds, filtering out sounds that we do not want, we can actually measure the time that the cow ruminates. This is stored inside the tag in 2-hour time slots, and you can read it even once per day and still have all the information of yesterday. I didn't think that I will talk about the activity, but because in Ireland, like New Zealand, fertility is such an important trait, I want to spend just a few words on the activity inside these combined tags. So what you see here is a daily change of activity that is measured by some index that takes account specific movements. So you see that in the morning they have more activity, and then they rest after feeding, and then they have again high activity. So you see almost the same every day. And at the day of heat, naturally it goes up. and you can see here also she was inseminated. Usually the farmer doesn't look on the raw data, he just looks on the changes, and he can see very, very clearly if the cow is in heat or not. In Europe, the system is very popular, a heat time system. In a few countries, about a third of the insemination are made on heat time alerts. When we wanted to introduce this into North America, the alternative to electronic heat detection is not visual observation, but whole herd synchronization program. So we promoted a trial that compared the two systems to see if it's a viable alternative. And you see that if you use actually twice 2 AI sessions per day, you can actually increase a little your conception rate, and you get statistically significant better results than whole herd synchronization. And if you think that such cows get 8 injections before her first insemination, then I think that cows will vote for a sensor like this on their neck instead of getting all those injections. Not to think about the public perception of our profession. What's also very interesting is, and if you look on how you evaluate the efficiency of such heat detection system, is that everybody uses gold standard, just the progesterone level. Now, in this study, they looked every 5 hours if, with ultrasound, if the cow was ovulating, and what was obvious that about a quarter of the cows that by just progesterone analysis you would say they were in heat, they actually did not ovulate. And the cow that does not ovulate will never get pregnant, yes? And we detect from such cows only 20% as actually cows in heat, whereas cows that were ovulating, the heat detection rate is 90%. So if you compare heat detection rate to a gold standard, it's just measured by a hormone profile. Sometimes you have to be careful. The other thing is that additional use of GnRH to maybe correct the time point of insemination in relation to the time of heat. You don't need it if you use a system like the heat time that shows you a very exact point where the peak of activity is. So that was about the activity. I don't want to spend any more about this. I'm more interested now about the rumination. There were some previous attempts to record rumination, but all of them failed because you cannot put it on a commercial herd and let the cows live. All these devices were holding not more than a week. Here you have we have cows that have these tags for now 6 years without any problem. They hold very long time. You can replace them very easily. There's no bolus that you have somehow to take out of the rumen. So if something goes wrong, you can give her a new one. Non-invasive, doesn't disturb her. Yes, if you believe that a cow on the Alps with a bell, it doesn't disturb her also. I'm not telling you stories. These tags are really able to record rumination and not other things. Here you have a validation trial comparing the visual observation with what our tag is recording, and you see this device is able to show you really how long the cow ruminates. Just to show you potential of using rumination data, we looked on small farm. What is the influence of different events that the cow has on her rumination pattern? I just want to show two things. In the day of calving, cows that usually ruminate about a third of the day, so 8 hours a day, that's what we see almost worldwide. Doesn't matter if it's a cow in New Zealand or a cow in Israel. The one eating only grass and giving maybe 4,000 liters of milk, and the other eating TMR and giving 14,000. They almost ruminate the same, about a third of the day. Maybe they don't have more time. At the day of calving, less than half of it. So it's a very, very dramatic event. A cow that is in heat is not interested in lying down and ruminating. She has to find the bull, yes? So she's active and not ruminating. And you can use this information. You disturb the cow's normal daily schedule, like the tremor comes, you see a drop in rumination. You have a disease like mastitis, very quick drop in rumination, even before milk drops. And even in a very efficient cooling system like we have in our farms, heat stress is causing a drop in rumination also. This was a trial that looked on what happens to dry cows when they are moved from one pen to another. And what you see here, that if cows are dropping in their dry matter intake, they will drop about the same almost also in rumination time. Something that you cannot capture if you just look on lying time. So cows that don't feel well in their new environment, if you just look on total lying time, it's not enough, but with rumination pattern, you see it very easily. And with cows that gives milk, it's much more than 10%. I told you that at the day of heat, cows drop in rumination. We use it as an additional confirmation that the cow is really in heat. We call it the diamonds, yes, activity goes up, rumination goes down. So it's an additional feature to do the same, just to find cows really in heat. If you want to monitor the efficiency of your cooling system, keeping the same level of rumination every day is crucial, and it was shown that it is even more important than even to measure the temperature of the cows. So it's a very, very good predictor of how efficient your cooling system is. It's a very nice tool for veterinarians. That's is and was my profession, so I'm more into cows that have problems. And we don't only find cows that are going to be sick or are sick, yes, we can also monitor the effectiveness of the treatment. If the treatment is effective, rumination goes very quickly up, because rumination is something that the cow needs every day, so she cannot just stop ruminating for a few days. On the other hand, if it doesn't go up, then you have to reevaluate your treatment protocol. I told you that a day of calving, rumination drops dramatically. Yes, from about 8 hours, 480 minutes a day, it drops on the average to about 300. Yes. And what we see here, that cows that have afterwards, yes, maybe you will detect ketosis and metritis maybe 2 weeks after calving, yes. These cows are different in their rumination from the first day after calving. So something goes wrong with these cows from the first day after calving and actually also in the dry period. What to do with it is another question, yes, but we have a measurement of what is going with the cow. Even, and here, milk yield won't help you anything to detect sick cows. Usually these cows that are getting sick, they have a potential to give more milk. So milk yield is not good enough, but rumination, it's very, very predictive of how the cow is overcoming the calving date. By the way, you can see it also in this rumination curve if you want. Dry periods, just before calving, it just drops a little. At the day of calving, it drops dramatically, and then it increases in the first week very quickly till it reaches some maximum value that is cow-specific, and it stays almost the same through most of the lactation. It drops at the end, but it stays almost the same throughout the lactation. Here there are two different rations given after calving, just to show you. The ration did not differ by the NDF contact, but they differ by the physical appearance of the fiber. And you can track these changes very easily with rumination. Now, if you have, like in Israel, a total mixed ration environment, you expect that the rumination level will always stay the same because you did not change anything, yes? What you see here is a farm that changed his TMR, yes? Have seen that on her herd level, his herd level went down from about 500 minutes to 400 minutes, yes? And actually, the milk dropped only a week after the rumination drops. They were not sure that it's because of the TMR, so they returned to the old, went back, yes? And then they changed it again just to be sure that the new ration wasn't okay. But it shows you that you have a way to monitor your ration in a very direct way. Farmers will adopt only tools that make sense. A lot of sensors are just spitting out a lot of data, very nice graphs, very nice reports, but the farmer doesn't use them because they don't really make sense. So I think that if we talk about sensors and data, it's very important that they are processed in a way that the farmer really can use it. Yes? What we think that there are two decision-making that a farmer will make every day that are very important. I know that before me there was a speaker telling that a farmer makes 60,000 decisions every day, so we take from him maybe only two, but I think they are important too. We tell him every morning or every minute that he wants to look in the system which cows he has to present to the inseminator and which cow he has simply to look after, and maybe at the end also to bring to the vet if he can not diagnose or see it by his own. And the rest is simply just to see if the system is working nicely. So a very direct user interface is crucial here. And naturally, all these goes now mobile. So a farmer can be out of his farm, but still have his hand on the pulse of every cow. Doesn't matter if he sits with his wife in a fancy restaurant, just look on his phone and everything is okay. I can drink a lot, yes, or something like this. just to summarize, technology is enabling the dairy farmer to overcome this going away from the individual cow and knowing each cow that he has in his herd. He can actually monitor his cows in a very nice way, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And now he can actually access it anywhere. He can access how one cow in Israel is feeling this moment. Yes, there's no problem with today's technology. And it doesn't matter if you have even 30,000 cows. I was just visiting such a farm, yes, and he can really monitor the individual cows that today does not feel well in such a herd size in a very, very simple way of just the alert list. And rumination is showing, and we are just in the start of beginning to understand what can we do with this information, because there's a lot of research. Nobody could have 100 students looking on 100 cows 24 hours per day. That was actually no studies like this were done, but now we have, maybe around the world we have about now 500,000 or 600,000 of these tags out. So we are now going to actually have a central database of such information. So there's also unlimited opportunities to understand what to do with rumination, but it is an ideal well-being indicator, because it's not just looking on one part of the equation, it's looking on both important key figures. If the cow is not eating, she will not ruminate, yes? And if the cow is eating but you disturb her, yes, she won't also ruminate. So if both are okay, rumination is okay. If one of them is missing, rumination drops, you know what to do. And that was my message. If you have any question, thank you.